UFO whistleblower Matthew Brown has broken his silence. He has been very quiet since his interview with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. He has started a Substack and has revealed new information. So we're going to just jump right into that and see what he has to say and analyze it. Here is his opening tweets introducing his Substack and speaking for the first time in many months. It has almost been 4 months since my interview with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp was released. A lot of questions remain about myself, about the phenomena, about our government, and what the future holds. I do not have all the answers. No single person ever could, but I am committed to sharing what I can. However, the harsh truth is this: to obtain the answers we seek, our system must change. This change has already started. It cannot be stopped, but the pace and final outcome depends on us. I am telling my story here to inspire, to inform, and to support the movement. My hope is that we will, in time, take the thoughtful steps necessary to achieve disclosure, restore our Constitution, and advance our civilization, revealing that which the powerful have concealed, unraveling a century of lies, overturning the tables in the temple. None of this will happen unless we decide to act. Thank you to those who already have. More will come. Jeremy Corbell responded, "Awesome, Matt. Glad you are writing to let folks know where you are at and what this experience is like." So I asked ChatGPT what it thought about his sentiment where he stated overturning the tables in the temple, because I recognize that that's coming from the scriptures. And so this is what ChatGPT stated. This is their take. When Matthew Brown says overturning the tables in the temple, he's not just being poetic. He's referencing a powerful moment from the Bible when Jesus stormed into the temple and flipped the tables of the money changers. That act wasn't just about anger. It was a symbolic rejection of corruption within what was supposed to be a sacred institution. By using that language, Brown is framing the UFO cover-up as a kind of moral failure, a betrayal of truth, of public trust, and maybe even of something higher. He's saying that disclosure isn't just about revealing craft or beings. It's about restoring integrity. It's about cleansing the temple, whether that temple is our government, our media, or our collective sense of reality.
And I can't think of anything more pressing for our nation to come to terms with than the fact that we have been deceived and our rights taken away to protect the privileges of an elite few. I am not going to live my life knowing that I could have helped prevent another generation of America and humanity from living in ignorance.
Matthew Brown stands on business, and I appreciate his sacrifices, and I consider him a strong patriot of the United States of America and an advocate for all people everywhere who have a right to know their place in their universe. And he has put his foot in the sand, or which is the expression I like. It's not really universal. Also, I'll use the universal expression. He's drawn a line in the sand. He came forward at cost, financial and beyond that, security-wise. He has chosen to be part of the trajectory we're in. He has chosen to contribute to what is a very real resistance, very real, resisting the lies of governments, in particular the United States government, since that's his government, and he worked for the government when he was working for the Pentagon as an intelligence analyst. And he has chosen that he is not going to go along with the status quo. He is going to antagonize the status quo. He has become part of the resistance. David Grush was and is part of the resistance. Even Commander David Fravor was and is part of the resistance. Not that David Fravor signed any NDAs or anything like that, but he's telling it like it is. He encountered a tic-tac technological object in 2004 that he assessed as a Top Gun Navy aviator was not created by any human organization on the planet. So I tip my hat to everyone who is part of the resistance, whether they're in Congress, whether they're from the intelligence community, from the military, or just our everyday citizens who are raising awareness, calling their representatives to get the UAP Disclosure Act passed as an example, and just not standing by while we continue to be lied to about our place in the universe, and continuing to suffer the downstream impact of these lies. Because I assess that once disclosure happens, it's going to be an extremely unifying impact on humanity, and it's going to lead to technological innovations that increase the quality of life for humanity. Knowledge generally does that, doesn't it? Because knowledge is power, particularly knowledge of this tectonic magnitude. With that said, let's dig into his brand new Substack article. So Matthew Brown's Substack is son of a Bramelin.substack.com. His first entry is titled My Journey to Become a UFO Whistleblower, one of 3. So we can expect 2 more installments after this. Part 1, Origins, Employment, Spillage. Fantastic article by Matthew Brown. I'm just going to read a segment of it, but in the beginning of the article, he goes into his background and what led him to becoming an intelligence analyst within the Pentagon. Really interesting. So I encourage you to read the full article when you get a chance. But for now, we're just going to cover the relevant part regarding Immaculate Constellation and him coming forward to inform the public about the UFO cover-up. So let's start here. My first direct exposure to the reality of unidentified anomalous phenomena and to the seriousness with which they are regarded by the national security state came in 2018. My clearances had barely come online when I began reviewing videos, reports, telemetry, and other data from UAP encounters documented by the U.S. military and intelligence community. The long-standing association between nuclear weapons and UAP offered a compelling justification for deeper official inquiry, and I closely tracked the emerging UAP community within the DoD and IC. The sense at the time was one of optimism, mystery, and what seemed like momentum toward official, albeit internal, disclosure. Spillage, 2018 to 2021. One day I was voluntold to perform archive duty, which is how I came across what is now known as the Immaculate Constellation briefing. Written for a senior leadership audience, it provided a matter-of-fact overview of global intelligence and collection mission focused on UAP, along with the UAP-related activities of our adversaries. While startling in some respects, the briefing primarily filled in gaps of my existing knowledge. UAP were clearly real, definitely global, ambiguous in intent, and seemingly indifferent to earthly laws and borders. It made perfect sense for the Department of Defense and the U.S. intelligence community to maintain secret programs devoted to such a threat. What struck me most was the tenor. There was no mystique here, only straightforward recounting and analysis of then recent UAP collection events. This was clear evidence that there existed a divide between the general TS-SCI community and select elements operating behind the green door. Reporting the improper handling and storage of this document, which originated from an unacknowledged special access program, confirmed these suspicions. Every step of the process was anomalous and not in keeping with official procedures. This was partly by design. My decision to self-report offered an opportunity to learn more about UAP through the process itself. The strange and evasive behavior of several senior leaders I encountered along the way only reinforced my sense that there was real fire behind the smoke. Still, I bided my time, preferring to watch and learn while bigger fish swam upstream. The question was no longer whether UAP were real, but what they were, where they came from, what they wanted, and why so much of the truth remained locked away from humanity. It was evident that the full picture was reserved for a small privileged caste. The rest of us are expected to remain ignorant. From that point on, I examined every project, conversation, and document for what might be hidden in plain sight. Through a laborious application of via negativa, each new fragment of evidence uncovered in DoD and IC archives stripped away alternative explanations until only the truly anomalous remained. By 2021, I was convinced not only of the reality of UFOs and aliens, but also of the existence of an official cover-up going back decades. I had no idea I would experience firsthand just how grim the reality truly was. Continued in part 2. Let's do a little review from when UFO whistleblower Matthew Brown was interviewed by journalists George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. This is from the part 1 of their interview, and it's really, really revealing and informative about what Immaculate Constellation is. And in the following clip, Matthew Brown talks about a slide that he came across when he was looking at Immaculate Constellation. Now, Immaculate Constellation, him coming across it, was Spillage itself, but then it is also considered that what happened on December 16th, 2017 with the publishing of the New York Times article that revealed ATIP, that revealed that the Pentagon was studying UAP and that Lou Elizondo was associated with it, that was also considered spillage. And we'll go a little bit more into what spillage means after this clip. But this clip is exceptionally important in giving you a deeper and broader understanding of what's going on with Matthew Brown, what the real significance of December 16th, 2017 was, and just this will really help put the pieces together very well. Let's play that clip.
So the next slide, though, is where it gets interesting, because the face of Lou Elizondo is on that next slide, and I was not who I was expecting to see, and it was accompanied by text. To summarize, and please have some grace with me. It's been 7 years, but it was saying that Immaculate Constellation is an unacknowledged special access program established after the exposure of ATIP in 2017 by former USDI officer Lou Elizondo. And, you know, that's the gist of that first slide. And so I'm looking at that and, you know, nothing particularly convincing that that's alien related or what the SAP is or what it's doing. So I don't know what to make of this. So I read the whole thing. And yeah, it got very interesting very quick.
So it's designated a SAP. You know this is a SAP. It's sitting on a server. Maybe it shouldn't be on.
Correct.
Right. So I think that's important. And also, it seems like it's just a response to the public spillage or exposure that we saw come forward with people like, and specifically Lou Elizondo. This was like an internal classified response to the fact, oh shit, some of this is out now.
Yeah, that's exactly the tone of those words, of that slide. Mm-hmm. That's the implied order of events that led to it being established.
So it was like 2018, maybe.
Yeah, the file was at least last accessed in 2018. I can't remember if it did say, you know, the file creation date or if I looked it up, but I know it was last accessed.
And you see who's accessed it prior to you?
I can.
And what did you see?
So everyone says that I'm wrong and it's impossible, but the name I recall and recalled at the time thinking, oh, that's odd, was
name redacted.
And did you know who that was?
Vaguely. At that time, people are considered superstars in leadership circles, so you just hear names like that, and that's what her name was.
Why would that be impossible? Why are people now in retrospect, why are people telling you that would be impossible?
Oh, she wasn't at the Pentagon then.
Mm-hmm.
Where was she? She was at the Pentagon, to my knowledge, but they're saying she wasn't there.
Right. Interesting.
So I noticed that I scrolled past something that was important in Matthew Brown's article. I thought it was an ad or something, but it's not. He actually puts a graph with the definition of spillage. So let's read that. Classified spill definition. Classified spills, also known as contaminations or classified message incidents, occur when classified data is introduced to an unclassified computer system or to a system accredited at a lower classification than the data. Any classified spill will involve an administrative inquiry for the facility concerned. Now we'll go into that in a little bit later because in his article, Matthew Brown did speak about how weird the higher up responded to the Spillage event when he was looking at the information on the terminal that revealed the Immaculate Constellation Special Access Program. Now, that program was not supposed to be on the terminal that he was accessing, and that's why he reported it to his higher up to be responsible. Well, we'll go into that a little bit later because that's really important. But that clip I just showed you from the Part 1 Weaponized podcast where he was being interviewed is fascinating. Based upon that clip, this is another form of spillage, right? This spillage is within the framework of the December 16th, 2017 New York Times article. And Immaculate Constellation, according to Matthew Brown, in the file or slide he was reading when he was at that terminal in the Pentagon, was communicating that Immaculate Constellation was started as a special access program in response to the New York Times article coming out revealing an operation in which people in the Pentagon were studying UAP. So this was like an attempt to tighten up this kind of information so that it wouldn't leak again in the future. That's my understanding. And the fact that he came across a file revealing this, it gives credibility to the New York Times article from 2017. The intelligence community was apparently very concerned about that. So concerned that they started a new special access program, as I understand, to ensure that this wouldn't happen again. And classified or information regarding classified information would not leak out again. I mean, this is just basically their attempt to tighten up the cover-up, right? That's basically what this is. So Immaculate Constellation seems to be, at least partially, their attempt to tighten up the cover-up so that no new information gets leaked into the public, so that the public has better clarity on how the U.S. government perceives and deals with UFOs, that they actually study them, money goes into the study of them, and they take the topic very seriously. Now, that's internally how the U.S. government deals with UFOs. But they give the impression that there's nothing to see here because there's been a multi-decade cover-up. That is my analysis. I would love to know who accessed the file prior to Matthew Brown. He said, everyone says I'm wrong. That's impossible. So he's talked to other people about who he remembers having accessed it, and they're saying that he's wrong and that's impossible. And he said that she was considered a superstar in leadership circles. But that's about it. Maybe at some point Matthew Brown will go public with who that was, but as of now, from the interview, he decided, along with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, I don't know if it was a decision they all made together, but Matthew Brown at least decided that it's not a good idea to publicize that name at this point. Let's very quickly return to a part of Matthew Brown's first Substack article, because after I read it to you, I'm going to play a clip from his interview with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell that clarifies at least part of what Matthew Brown meant from his article. So, and I quote from his article: reporting the improper handling and storage of this document, which originated from an unacknowledged special access program, confirmed these suspicions. Every step of the process was anomalous and not in keeping with official procedures. This was partly by design. My decision to self-report offered an opportunity to learn more about UAP through the process itself. The strange and evasive behavior of several senior leaders I encountered along the way only reinforced my sense that there was real fire behind the smoke. Still, I bided my time, preferring to watch and learn while bigger fish swam upstream. Now, I want you to have paid special attention to the strange and evasive behavior of several senior leaders I encountered along the way. Along the way, when he reported that he came across a file on the server or terminal, whatever terminology you want to use, that wasn't supposed to be there, his higher-ups responded in a bizarre way. In the following clip from when he was interviewed by George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, he goes into depth regarding that. Let's play that clip.
I don't print it out. And I just say, ma'am, we have a spillage incident. I believe it's sap material. Could you please provide guidance on how to handle this? And so through that, I was connected to our parent office's special access program control officer. Had a meeting set up to go meet with them a few days later. That happened. I go to that meeting in a SAP-F, so where this material is supposed to be stored and handled. And this person says, okay, show me the material. So I sit down.
Round two.
Right, exactly.
You're showing the material.
I sit down, I pull it up. It's right there at the top of the shared server. So I'm not like, it's almost instant, like this right there. I pull it up. I start scrolling through it from the bottom. I get no reaction. Then he says, okay, let me look at it. He takes my chair. He goes through, he scrolls through it. No reaction on his face. I'm watching him very closely at this point because I'm exceptionally curious about all of this. No reaction. Then he scrolls through it again, and he makes a very deliberate scene where he pauses on Lou Elizondo's slide and starts guffawing in a very non-believable way and saying, somebody's having a joke. You don't need to worry about this. You can go. And that's not the reaction I was expecting. I was expecting to, at the very least, sign a paper, right? Saying, this incident happened.
Yeah.
Reported it, signed it. It's done. So, I try to ask him, like, are you sure? Like, do I need to sign anything? He's like, nope, you can go. And so I left that room and never, ever had anything about that incident come up again.
Except immediately you went and checked again for the file.
Yeah, I went upstairs and I went to see what had happened and it was gone.
In my view, with the clip I just shared with you, that encompasses what Matthew Brown was referencing in his article, where he stated, the strange and evasive behavior of several senior leaders I encountered along the way only reinforced my sense that there was real fire behind the smoke. Let's continue. I'm not covering it right now, but as I recollect, the Immaculate Constellation file encompassed a lot of information about UAP, how adversaries are studying UAP. I think there was even an image of a triangle UFO UAP in the file. So it's not like Matthew Brown is speculating on what the Immaculate Constellation file or special access program encompasses. But we're not going to cover all those details. I'm focusing on certain aspects of what he encountered, just to be clear. Now, in the following clip, he talks about a transcript he came across where members of Congress were talking with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who was a former head of AARO, All Domain Anomalous Resolution Office, which is the UFO study program in the Pentagon. And this had a big impact on him. Let's play that clip and then we can discuss it.
And the last one that really sealed it and really convinced me that I need to find a way to bring this to Congress, no matter how small it might be, it apparently matters, was when I was in USDI, I read the transcripts of Sean Kirkpatrick briefing Senator Rubio, Senator Warren, and Senator Gillibrand on the results of his investigation in his congressionally tasked AARO report. And those transcripts, which were supposed to be open kimono, here's the truth, Mr. Senator, Mrs. Senator, Sean Kirkpatrick absolutely distorted, downplayed, and I can't prove it, but I would say outright lied to the people who have direct responsibility for him.
Saying what? What did he say that was a lie?
So it's more of a lie of the whole thing, the big picture, right? In the meeting, it's, Congressman Rubio, we've heard about this incident. We just don't have enough data to go on it to really know what this is. We don't have any way of really figuring out what's going on. It could just be an anomaly. In fact, it's most likely an anomaly. So starting with an acknowledgement that, you have some data, but we have the insight and the scientific expertise to make you feel at ease.
Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Exactly. Although there was also political discussion involved and historic discussion. And, I read these transcripts once and immediately knew that
Veiled threat?
No, I knew that I was now something else. I had inside knowledge into the deception of our government by elements of our intelligence community. My blood ran cold at a specific point in that transcript where Mr. Rubio is discussing the legacy program. This was a subject of direct discussion with Sean Kirkpatrick in these meetings. And based on Mr. Kirkpatrick's replies about as vague as they were, but unable to escape the truth of the legacy program, Mr. Rubio's response was, well, what the hell is the executive branch doing? Have they been running this for 60 years without congressional oversight? I might be paraphrasing a little, but that's near enough verbatim. And I saw that line, and I basically closed that file and had a pretty sleepless night.
All right. You said your blood ran cold, meaning you're pissed, you're spooked.
Scared.
What is scared? Scared for your country.
I just think in general, it's like I don't know, there was nothing associated. It was just like immediate, oh, fuck.
Good response.
Yeah.
I mean, you now know this is real. This is a cover-up. They are lying about this stuff.
Yeah, at that point, I definitely knew the phenomena was absolutely real. I knew we were tracking it. I knew we had lots of resources on it for some time. But getting to that final step in the ladder and seeing like, oh, and the cover-up is real, and it's inside the house.
My takeaway from that is he read that transcript while also having a clear understanding of how seriously the U.S. government takes the UFO issue. So that clarified how deceptive Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick was being with Rubio, Warren, and Gillibrand when they were being briefed by Kirkpatrick. He even said in that clip that Kirkpatrick was unable to escape the truth of the legacy program. So Kirkpatrick kind of, in a vague way, as I understand, admitted to the existence of the legacy program being a crash retrieval and back engineering UFO program. And of course, he referenced Rubio saying, have you been lying to Congress for 60 years? So this was like a wake-up call of a wake-up call for Matthew Brown, that he had to come forward and inform Congress, inform the public that we're being lied to about UFOs. So I just want to revisit one portion of Matthew Brown's Substack article, and I quote, "The question was no longer whether UAP were real, but what they were, where they came from, what they wanted, and why so much of the truth remained locked away from humanity. It was evident that the full picture was reserved for a small privileged caste. The rest of us are expected to remain ignorant." And that really gets, end quote, that really gets to the problem, doesn't it? I mean, that's the cover-up. The world is not being given an opportunity to engage their own universe through intellectual inquiry and pondering. Nobody has consented to this cover-up. And classifying nature is intrinsically absurd. Like, can you classify the moon? Can you cover up the moon? Can you classify islands that exist out in the Pacific and try to keep the public from learning that there's islands out there? No, you can't do that because it's madness, it's unethical, but that's what they're doing with UAP. Now, granted, obviously UAP are, they operate in ways that are clandestine in many respects, so it gives the intelligence community and the government and the military an opportunity to lie about them. But that doesn't mean they don't exist, right? They do exist, in my opinion. But this mystery, this extraordinary scientific mystery that we could all contribute to, everybody on this planet could contribute to better understanding this mystery, from the smartest of us to the most average of us. And we have been forbidden from engaging our own universe with our own powers of inquiry and investigation, and that's just beyond the pale. And so I give Matthew Brown tremendous credit for doing something he did not have to do. He lost his job. He'll probably never work for the government again, as it seems at this point. He walked away from an amazing career, not for fame and fortune, certainly not for fortune, but not for fame either. He did it because he did not want to regret fulfilling, as he understands it for himself, an obligation to bring this to the public and to stop these lies and these cover-ups. So nothing but respect for Matthew Brown for doing the very difficult but moral thing, in my view. So I hope this video gave more context and clarity to Matthew Brown and to his first article, which is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe if you'd like to support this channel, my channel. You could become a patron. You could become a YouTube member. You could give me a one-time donation. All those potentialities can be accessed in the description box below. Or you can just slap a like on this bad boy, and I'll appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all YouTube members, patrons, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.